The Eric McKenna project was formed in March of 2019 by Pittsburgher Eric McKenna. The project is free-form and unscripted, with discussions that are unvarnished and purely authentic. Additionally, each engagement is professionally filmed and recorded at Eric's Boogie Street Studio, located in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. Guests are by invitation only and come from all walks of life. Discussion topics include business and entrepreneurship, science, art, music and film, comedy, and other entertainment disciplines. Eric's biography includes Pittsburgh Realty agent, radio broadcaster, speaker, and guitarist. Additionally, Eric is the founder of Boogie Street Guitars, a guitar design and marketing firm which has worked with most notably Dimebag Darrell and Kiss legend Paul Stanley. Since 2023, the Eric McKenna Project podcast is exclusively presented by the Cozza Law Group, Pittsburgh's premier business attorneys.
Polish Yo Kenny. Shout out to Polish Yo Kenny. Good to see you, man.
You too, Eric. Good to be here.
This is
man.
like every time this is like the third time I think, and every time you've been on, we say, okay, then next time, not too long, a couple months, we'll do it again, and then years go by.
It does. Push it on. I'll say this: the last times were my fault because it'd be like, oh, I'll be there, and then I'd have some. I knew I knew I had something going on. And I'm one of them guys like, I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. And then it would get to that day, and I'd be like, fuck, I can't make it work. And I kept quitting. And then I was like, I love seeing the stuff you were doing. I seen you were on the radio.
Yeah.
The pickle.
Yeah, I did that for a year.
Yeah. But
it was fun.
You got on the pickle, though. You know what I mean?
I don't know how that happened. I weaseled my way out.
Yeah.
They actually let me go on the radio. But yeah, I want to talk to you about that. Speaking of that, so you guys started making appearances on DVE.
Yeah.
So how'd that happen?
So Bill Crawford, we grew up with him, good friend of ours. We brought him on the podcast a while back, and then he was telling Randy Bauman like, dude, these dudes are funny, bring them on. He said, what can they do? He said, I have an idea.
What can they do?
He said they have a segment on their show called What's Grinding Their Gears. So Randy was like, okay. So he had us on once, and he said, we did the What's Grinding Your Gears, which is basically something that pissed you off that week. And, I remember Jack's was something that he had to go to a doctor's office in Carrick that used to be a Long John Silver's, and it still fucking smelled like Long John Silver's, and it still looked like Long John Silver's. And he felt
How can they get that grease out anyways? No. Come on, that ain't going to happen.
And I remember mine was like, there's a guy in my neighborhood who's a Vietnam vet, but he's only 2 years older than me, so it's a lie. And he rides a rascal, and he claims he gets this false valor, and he the girl I'm dating, he was like sexually harassing her all the time, and it's funny in a way, but then he gets away with it because he's like, oh, he's a vet. I'm like, he's 46. He wasn't in Vietnam. He wasn't in any war. I know he wasn't.
That guy needs outed.
Oh, dude. Well, here's the thing. He's so deep into this. When they do the Veterans Day parade, he's on his rascal with the flag in the air. And I'm just like, this motherfucker.
Did you ever hear of Don Shipley? Does
No.
that name ring a bell?
No.
Yeah, I'll remind you before you split today. There's a guy on the web, Don Shipley. He's a Vietnam, I think the Vietnam era SEAL.
Okay.
Or maybe post-Vietnam. He's a legitimate SEAL, and he goes after these people on the web viciously that pretend to be SEALs. That's like his specialty. He goes after these people all across the country and outs them.
How many people do that?
A lot.
Really?
Dude, his whole channel is insane.
And it's all about going after these dudes.
Don Shipley. Yeah, I'll send you out with the information. You can go look that up.
You thinking in your head, like a common guy like me, you would be able to tell me some bullshit because I don't,
Me too.
I love.
I wouldn't know nothing about it.
I love the military.
Yep.
I respect them. but like I don't know a lot about it. So if
Right.
you told me you're in the military and you did this and that, I would just be like, that's awesome. Thank you for your service.
Most people, yeah, and I think that's how they get away with it for so long.
Yeah, and then when a real person catches you, I got to check this Dawn Shipley.
Yeah,
out.
Don, you got to check it out. Don, for those who are listening or watching, Don Shipley, yeah, he got a great channel. He does not fuck around. I mean, he will.
How old's Dawn? No.
Don's probably in his like mid-70s.
Still
Big guy.
badass?
Yeah, still a badass.
I love an old head
He's
badass.
Still a badass,
Yeah.
man. And he is fearless. I mean, he will chase these people down. He befriends. It's amazing. Like he befriends them. He calls them up, and listens to their whole stick and asks them some questions. Hey, I'm a fellow SEAL, and so said good things about you, yada yada yada. And then and then he'll start getting details, and then he realizes they're full of shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what brigade were you in, or whatever the terms are?
Yeah.
What team were you in? What years was it? And they can't answer, and they're just throwing shit on the wall, and then he goes for the attack, and he just nails them.
What's their usual, like, how do they react usually? Are they like,
Defensive, very defensive, calling him a liar,
because that's probably their livelihood if they're doing it through social media. Like, they're probably like,
either that or they're getting a lot of benefits for being a vet.
yeah.
They're taking advantage of, the public's admiration for
Yeah.
their service, right?
Right.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of I'm sitting here laughing about it because he's relentless. But I mean, I'm glad he's doing it. It's just like, let me ask you this before we even get into this. There's a phenomenon going on YouTube. Have you seen these people that go out and expose the child predators?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like addicted to watch these things because it's unbelievable how many there are.
And it was, now I'll tell you one that stuck out in my head. There was a guy and he looked like, I think he was all fucked up on meth, and they had him in a parking lot of it might have been a Target or it might have been something.
By a dumpster?
No, I don't think there was a dumpster,
Okay.
but they had the guy and they said, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I was just trying to help her." And the dude literally had, I remember, a dildo and a Bible. And I'm like, what?
And a Bible?
I said,
a dildo and a Bible.
I said, what a fucked up combination. Like, and I'm like, and they were like, what were you going to do? And they were like, and he was like, no, I was never. And then they pull up the messages. And that's when they're busted. Because they're, dude, you could say, you're sending pictures of your dick. You're not trying to help anyone.
It's I think because there's so many of those shows, it's a form of like people watch it for entertainment because there's funny elements about it.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's an insidious fucking thing, and it's like, how many people are out there doing this shit?
The good thing is there's so many people doing it that I guarantee you it has had to have at least scared off at least one pedophile.
Yeah.
At least one was like, or, what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, well, they're getting more good. They should be fucking leery. They're going after kids.
Yeah, there's a guy named Alex Rosen, big heavy set guy. He's the one that I first saw. And then there's a guy named Jay Dion, I think. And then there's just a bunch of them. And there's probably many Colorado Ped Patrol. That's like this guy in Colorado.
Yeah.
He's really gotten pretty skilled at doing this. And he goes out there and he's like and they don't fight him or anything. They just kind of, they just get them to admit that they're doing all this shit and they turn them over to the police. It's a beautiful system.
There was one that I had seen that was great. There was, they went after a guy, and it turned out the guy himself was a YouTube influencer.
Big guy.
Big heavyset black dude.
What was his name? EDM?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
And it was in a storage unit. You've seen it too. So that was fucking...
And then he started mentally cracking up and like responding. It was in drama.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy just threw his fucking life away.
Uh-huh.
And you hope that he didn't get to anyone before that. But It's like, he ain't the only one. But it was like, to see that guy, like, he went into sham. Like, it was like, he couldn't believe what was happening. He's like, you can't do this. You can't do this. It's like, oh, we're doing it.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely doing it. I mean, every one of those people need to be exposed.
Yeah.
Man. And but I was just amazed at how many people were doing it, and then how many, it's an endless supply of poaches. It's an endless supply. There's just some, and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I hope society's not fucked up.
Well, and you're like, so they have to, in my mind, I'm like, they have to be dealing with pedophiles or former pedophile offenders to be getting the information to get inside as far as they're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to trap these dudes. Like, there has to be
they got a system.
Right. And they were saying on the thing, they were talking to the guy, like, oh, you're doing work. It probably helps and they were like, the police hate us.
I know.
And they hate us. And it's like a weird line, because I understand what the police are saying, because like you got all this vigilante justice, but if you're catching fucking pedophiles, fuck them.
That's how I feel about it.
Fuck them.
I mean, my biggest fear is at some point in time, though, I think that there's going to be a serious altercation with one of these guys. Someone's going to get shot. Like like a pedophile's going to get desperate. You know, they're going to go see someone at their house. Probably someone that lives in a rural area that got a ton of guns. And next thing you know, and that's what I'm afraid of, is that at some point it might get, it might be a vigilante response back to them. But we'll see. I mean, I find it funny because some of the interaction these guys, and it's usually guys. I mean, there's been a very few I've seen women out there that have caught.
I've not seen a woman. I've actually not seen any women.
I think I saw one, but I wasn't really sure if she was a guy or a girl. I wasn't sure what they were. So.
Right.
So DVE, I can tell you've been doing some gigs with Matt Light on occasion too, right? Yeah,
that's my man. He does his annual like ugly sweater party, which is kind of like he started. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. At first, it was. I remember the first one was actually like a New Year's Eve thing, and then it turned into the ugly sweater like the following 4 years. But we do that every year, and then like
where's that, down the Improv?
No, weird story about that. The Improv. So he did Stage AE.
Yeah, okay.
Which is obviously bigger than the Improv,
of course.
Packed the place. Next year, he was like trying to work with the Improv, like, hey, we can do a couple shows. Didn't want. They're like, no, we don't want.
Interesting. Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I got Improv to me, like, I'll get into it, but then the whatchamacallit, the Carnegie Homestead Music Hall did it there last year. Now, I thought that was fucking amazing. I went out there. There's actually the one kid was on the show who passed away. He was a comedian, Mark Shimkitz. I think that was towards the end, one of the last shows he did. Him and Matt were cool because Matt is a cancer survivor. Mark had cancer. Mm-hmm. And Matt always kind of like reached out to him. And that kid, Mark Shimkitz, was, I knew him, but liked him, but he was so well loved in that community. And there was like so many people that knew him so well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was like, oh man, like this is messed up. But he got to do a lot of things that he always wanted to do before he passed. Sure. And then now this year, it's at the City Winery, and right on the old City Winery, like the original, which WDV, we did the local comedy fest this year. Fucking awesome room, dude. I mean, it is like low ceilings, holds about like I think like 220. Something like that. Really cool vibe. You go downstairs, you're like in a basement, but it's laid out. Mm-hmm. And you can just fucking let it rip down there. I mean, it's just a good time. So I think he's doing 2 shows there this year. And that's going to be awesome. But like, yeah, I do like a lot. He'll be like, dude, I got a gig for Iron City. I got a gig for this. He takes me along on a lot of stuff. Right on. So he's a good friend. I think one of the coolest things he ever did was he recently, the other day, roasted the Steelers. Went up to camp, roasted them. And he said it was funny because he's like an outsider and they're like a brotherhood. And he starts roasting them and they're not fucking laughing. You know what I mean? And one of the jokes he said to, I think the one was to Mason Rudolph. I don't try to get it right. He said, Mason, shave that fucking mustache. He said, you look like a state trooper. And he said, I'm starting to believe Myles Garrett. And you know the whole story with that. And the newer guys on the team didn't get it. The guys that been there a while fucking started laughing at that. And his whole take from it Like, that's tough. But I know Matt. He had him going. And Tomlin was the nicest guy I ever met.
Oh, really?
That was his take. And he said, dude, Tomlin is the best guy. He's like, I
believe it.
He was like, and I was like, that's fucking cool. You know, but to do something like that, and it's like, yeah, the Improv, they didn't want him back. It's not they didn't want, I don't know.
What's going on down there?
I don't know. Like, me personally, coming up August 31st, I'll have 10 years sober. I wanted to do a show at the Improv.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. I talked to Croft and them on there. Dude will help promote it. Do all. So I go to them. I tell them this. I'm like, you know, it doesn't have to be the 31st.
Yeah.
Just some date around there.
Of course.
It could be a fucking Wednesday. But I've never headlined the Improv. And like usually a lot of guys at like my stage, you get to like this 6, 7, 8 year point. And if you're doing good in the city, like usually you get a night down there. I'll give you a night and like, you know, and I don't feel like local people are getting any play down there. Now they might have a couple people they use for like, which I'm not hating on those guys and girls,
of course,
but that they use for the comics coming in. But they used to do an open mic when I started once a month. They don't do that. They used to have these contests for new comedians, and if you won, it was like you got to open for a national touring headliner. They stopped the contest. So I feel like the connection with the comedy community is somewhat broken. And the people that work down there, they're great guys and girls, but like, I don't feel like, and I don't spend a lot of time down there. I'll be honest. I don't. And there's guys that'll, you know, they'll sit down there and, you know, like, but I don't sit down there and wait like for
I understand
a comic to come through and be like, hey, can I get a guest spot? You know, like I just don't.
Do you think is that something you do more when you're younger?
I would say like a newer comic, yeah. I would say if you had met that comic before, like worked with them, like if someone came through and I'd worked with them, I might be like, I'm going to go down and say what's up to him. If we had a good rapport, went good last time, but more than likely I'll say, what are you doing? Like, I'm just down there hanging out. Usually the comic will offer, you want to do 5-7 minutes. And you're like, oh, all right, yeah, that'd be great. If they don't offer, and you offer up your own services, now you put them in a weird spot.
Of course.
And they're like,
of course.
You're like, yeah. But some people do it. It might help them. I don't know. I'll reach out to someone before a show, but not like the day, you know, like to go down there and just sit there to a guy I've never met or a woman I've never met and say, can I have 5 minutes, please, on stage? I know you never met me, but, you know.
Has the process for writing material changed at all for you since, you know, the last 5 years or so? Just like take the last 5 years. Has the process changed for you? Yeah.
What I'll do now, like, as soon as something happens, because everything that I talk about has it came from some life experience. You know what I mean? As soon as something happens, I'm going to my phone and putting it in my notes. You know, then as soon as, you know, I get a chance, I'm going to tell that story to someone and just see how they react. I'm not going to tell them it's a bit. I might be up fucking Starbucks in Squirrel Hill, see someone I know, and be like, dude, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, can you believe I was in here the other day and this girl called me Stinky? And I was like, that's my nickname fucking 20 years ago. You know, like, what if I told her pussy smells? You know, and the dude starts laughing. I'm like, this might be something, you know, and then I try to like form it there. And then when I like think it's like somewhat good, I'll take it to DV because I get on DV once a month to do the gear grinder thing. And that's when I'll be like, here it is, you know, and then like Randy and Bill's reaction, I don't know if it's good or not, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know, but it's funny because, dude, for me, I did drugs all those years and so much stuff is like compartmentalized in my brain. The funny thing is when I get on the phone, it happens when I talk to any of my old friends. It happens a lot when I talk to Matt Light. Shit just comes out. Matt goes, why didn't you ever talk about that? The one time we're like talking and all of a sudden I know where I'm like, yeah, dude. So I was up there, I'm living in this halfway house and then I end up going across the street. This old lady's like, I'll jerk you off for $20. She's fucking homeless. So I'm like, fuck, I got to go upstairs, steal $20 out of the petty cash. She ends up jerking me off. Find out she's jerked. I got my eyes closed. Here she was using packets of mayonnaise to jerk me off. So he goes, dude, why have you never told this story on stage? And I'm like, I forgot about it till we were talking about it. You know what I mean? And I don't even know how we got to the conversation of homeless prostitutes, but we were there. And, you know, shit like that happens. And they'll be like, okay. And then I'll be like, all right, let me, you know, and that's how a lot of times now things get, either a life situation happens or I remember something from before and I can bring it back up into life, you know, because it's a lot of the funny stuff that happened for me happened when I was getting high.
Of course.
You know, sober, yeah, it was funny shit, but.
Do comics ever recirculate their stuff from years prior, reformulate it?
I know for me, there's a couple jokes that I started telling when I was first started. I fucking still use them. You know what I mean? Like, now, have I modified them? Yeah. Yeah, they've gotten better. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's punchlines, things like that. But, like, I feel like when you first tell a joke, it's just the beginning. Because now you're going to tell that joke again and again and again. And you're going to realize what parts are funny. What parts can you cut out? Where do they really laugh? And then one day, I call it like when you're like almost in the zone up there, you're feeling it. You'll just start throwing out like taglines on a joke and it crushes and you're like, oh my God, I got to use this on the next one. Write that down. You know, so like it was like the one time I said me and my girlfriend, we made a porno and we were going to post it on OnlyFans and shit. And I had a script for her and she was like, this is fucking stupid. And she was reading the script. She was like, oh my God. Because I was like, I'm going to be a security guard. You're going to be like a thieving whore. You know what I mean? Because that's like these porn. Like at the time, I don't watch porn anymore. But at the time, I was like watching a decent amount of porn, and I liked the porn where these chicks would get caught stealing, and their only way out was they either had to go to jail for the rest of their lives or blow the security guard. The good news is I've never seen any of these girls go to jail yet. So she's like reading the script, and like out of nowhere, I'm like. I came across my head. I'm like, you're doing it wrong. And she was like, what? She's like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, you're supposed to say it with a British accent. And she was like, what do you say? So I grabbed the script and I said, oh no, whatever you do, don't check me knickers. And people started dying. And like, that wasn't even part of the, you know what I mean? Shit like that, like just comes up and you're like, where the fuck did I come up? But it just happens, you know? I feel like we're creative people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. So, do you write everything down? Like, every time so some of it just has to be formulated based on memory and...
Yeah.
So you have a collection of notes and then what's in your head?
No, yeah. Like, I'll have... Like, my jokes aren't written out. It'll be like, I'll know exactly... Like, okay, I'm going to tell the OnlyFans story. I'm going to tell the homeless lady.
So you don't think that's risky, man? Like, I mean... like
I've told these stories so many times.
I guess. So okay. So obviously, when you go up there for a 30-minute set, let's say, 30-minute set, nothing is written down. I mean, you're so rehearsed. You got it. You know where everything's at, like per minute almost, right? You know where you're going to be at the 26th minute. Or not really.
I kind of know. Yeah, like I know I'm going to be closing. When I get to about 25, I'm going to hit the closer. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But in saying that, I probably need to work on writing more new material. My problem was... or is I get so comfortable with some of the material because it works so good that I just keep using it and making it like adjustments and then
refining it.
Yeah, and then I've started to like add some new stuff, but like I don't want to force new stuff that isn't funny just because I'm not saying new jokes. Now, when I go, now say I've been somewhere 4 times and they're like, they've heard all my shit. I need to get busy and I need to start.
So how do you know? Like, do you just remember that when I was at XYZ location, I said this collection of jokes, or do you write them down so you know?
No, I will remember. Like, I'll know if I've been to a place 2 or 3 times and I featured 2 or 3 times, I'll know I used all my shit. You know, I'll be like, I used everything up that I had. I'll be like, so I've got to come at them with something different. You know, I've got to, and especially if I ever closed out a show somewhere, I probably used all my good jokes. And then, like, there's stuff you forget about, you know, and stuff that gets put on, like, the back, like, you'll say it a couple times, and like, and I'll go back to that. Like, okay, let's start bringing this back around. Like, this one time, I got boofed by a lesbian, and it was weird because we were partying, and I bought Coke, and I was like, you want to party? And the guy who sold Coke conveniently lived right across the street from me. I'm living in Washington County, and we're over there, and this chick was over there, and there was never chicks over there. So I bought some Coke, and I'm like, you want to go over and party? And she was like, sure. I was like, I live right across the street. I don't feel like giving everyone my Coke here. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we get halfway across the street, and she's like, dude, I got to tell you, because I like try to put my hand on her ass. And she's like, I'm gay. So I'm like, at that moment, I'm like seriously contemplating, like, I wonder if I have enough Coke to get the gay out of her. You know what I mean? Like, just for like an hour. And at that point, I had no alternative because, like, what do I do? Say, like, well,
does it work like that?
It doesn't. It didn't. It didn't that night. And we go up and we're there. And I didn't try to, like, make her, like, I didn't, after she told me she was gay, we were just like partying. But she brought this up. She said, dude, would you mind boofing me? And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. So this is 17 years ago. I'm 27, 18 years ago. I'm 26 years old. I'm like, what's boofing? She's like, you're going to put Coke in a straw. We're going to put this straw in my butthole, and you're going to put Coke in it, put it in my butthole, and then you're going to blow it into my butthole. So I'm like,
wait, what?
Boofing. Yeah. So I'm like, what's it do? It gets you super fucked up. Apparently there's all these nerve endings and all this whatever science behind it. I just know Coke goes in your ass. It gets you high, you know? And I'm like, it's a good time. So I remember she brings out this fucking straw that you would see at a carnival in those lemonades. Like, you know, the one with the ridges and like the big.
Is it paper or plastic?
Oh, it's plastic. You know, like.
Oh, the hard ones.
The lemonade one. Yeah. So I'm like, you're going to take all the Coke if I feel. She's like, no, just put a little bit in there. And this. So I like blow this fucking Coke up her ass like a Native American blowing a poisonous dart. I just hit her with the. And it goes up and, you know, I pull her straw. And like, at this point, she has her pants on. So I'm like, she's like kind of sitting, she's like, all right, cool. Like, so she goes, do you want me to boof you? And I'm like, yeah. But at that point, I said, this is my only chance to bang this chick. So I'm like, hold on real quick. Because I want to make sure my ass is like spotless and it looks good. So I run into the shower, take like a quick 2-minute shower, wash my ass. But I try to shave my ass real quick while I'm all coked up. I cut my ass with a razor, and I have no Band-Aids. I'm a bachelor, so I have a piece of duct tape on my ass, and I cover my ass in baby oil. She comes back and sticks the straw into my butt and does it. And because I put too much baby oil in my butt, it clogged the straw. And I turn around, and her face is like a red tomato fucking pincushion, and she just like balloons up, like, I can't get it through. And I'm like, blow harder, blow harder. And she almost ended up passing out. But, like, that story, like, really happened. And, like, it was, like, that was one of them ones I forgot about, you know? It was compartmentalized. And I was like, I told it a few times, you know, and people liked it. But you go to tell that joke. I remember I was at Butler County Country Club with my buddy, Joe Welsh. Jack's younger brother. He's a fireman, good friend of mine. Joe puts this show together. It's just me and him, 2-man show. We walk in, we're talking, real cool people. Joe brought me, so I knew it wasn't a clean show. Literally 2 minutes before we go up, the former president died on Monday. A new president had got elected for their country club.
Okay.
He wants a clean show. So Joe's like, this fucking guy, he don't have nothing clean. So I said to him, I said, man, I could try to clean up a little bit, but I'll do the best I can. I don't want to jam you up. He's like, all right, just do what you can. The set ended up going pretty well. I kind of like danced around some things, and stuff like that. It was an older crowd. But I remember the first thing I said, man, did you guys make a big mistake? And they were like, I said, whose idea was it to elect that dickhead president? And like, they loved it. And I just started shitting on the president of the country club. I said, he's up here telling me he wants a clean show, telling me this. I said, and I'm like, you survived the fucking Black Plague. You telling me you can't handle a couple dick jokes. And and it was just like one of them weird instances, but like, you never know, like, for the most part, no one's ever brought me to do a clean show.
Well, when it was over, what was his reaction?
He was cool because they enjoyed it, but I did cut back. He said, "Oh, that wasn't exact." And Joe was like, "Dude, he pulled back a lot." I don't think he liked the reaction it got when I made fun of him. You know what I mean? Like, because they loved it, and
of course,
and because he's an asshole. You know what I mean? And the one woman who was in charge of organizing it was mortified. Like, why? Because I felt like he overstepped her. She had it under control. He goes, fellas, I want a clean show tonight. Let's keep it PG. And then she was like, well, that's not what we talked about. And he goes, well, that's right. No one wants to hear that potty mouth. And
he said potty mouth.
And I'm like, you don't read the room too well, bud. Because they were like loving it. Anytime we got into anything, they were loving it. So like you weren't reading the room, and that's your own personal preference. And I felt like he was on a little mini power trip. A little mini power trip to be like, I'm going to set the precedence right now. No potty mouth at these comedy shows. That's it. And then I call him an ass when everyone went nuts. So.
While he's sitting there watching, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah. He's sitting there with his fucking beef tips just staring at me, cutting them up little by little, like his fucking kid.
How dare he?
Yeah.
Our country club.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially a country club crowd, too.
And they were selling, and that night it was like an award ceremony. It's like it was giving out some pretty prestigious awards for their, like a lot of veterans,
sure,
a lot of people getting honored for doing some cool shit and donating. And it was a fun night for everyone. They had drinks in them. They were dancing. They were dressed up. It was like a good night. It was just like, this guy like tried to like shit on it, and like they weren't having it. They were like,
so what time would you come in? Like, if that event was, let's say, 3.5, 4 hours, when would you appear?
We would probably get there. They'll tell us the time. So say the event starts at 6. They'll say we want to start the comedy show at 8. I like to be there by 20 after 7 at the latest, just for if something like that happens. You hope nothing's good, and to meet people.
Yeah.
And I like to talk to people before a show. Like, hey, what's up, my man? How you doing? You here for the comedy show? Yeah. Oh, I'm a comedian. Oh, for real? Yeah, dude. Where you from? Now I feel a little bit more comfortable when I'm up there. I got a buddy. Like, it's a weird tactic that people taught me, but like you like find a couple or a table of people, you kind of schmooze them a little bit, and now you got a little cheering section.
Yeah, of course.
And
in case things go south,
and you can reference them because a couple of their names, and then when people love being identified at a comedy show.
Of course.
Be like, yeah, I never thought when I came in here. I was like, I met Bill and his wife was telling me how small his dick is. I couldn't believe it that they've been together for 38 years. Now, she never said that. And but it's like funny because they've been together 37 years and people are fucking dying. Like, little shit like that, like can make someone's night.
And how many years did it take you to learn that? Was that something you learned right away?
No, not at all. I would say I'm learning every show I do. I'd say I started to really feel myself grow the 4th year going into the 5th year.
Okay. So what year would that have been? So you've been sober 10 years.
Yeah.
Were you doing comedy before you were sober?
No.
Okay.
No. I've been doing it for 6 years.
So take me back again and tell me about the first time you went up there. So who gave you the idea you wanted to do this?
I always wanted to do it. And then my mom was a bartender at a little bar in Greenfield. Jack's brother Joe had started doing comedy. Joe was doing a comedy show at a bar in Greenfield. What better place? That's my home neighborhood. what better place to go up? So Joe goes, hey, why don't you come on the show? And then here the thing is, too, when you're new, everyone's going to come see you. What's he going to say? You know, he's new. Well, here what happens is the week prior, Joe had a show at Archie's, and he goes, why don't you do this one, too? So I'm like, all right. Well, everyone came to that. And I remember getting up there, and I had a piece of paper. And, like, I remember, like, referencing the piece of paper. Like, I was, like, I had it with me, like, looking at it. It went okay. My friends
you got a cheat sheet.
Yeah. And your friends are there, and they're laughing at you because it's, like, your first time. They want to support you and shit like that. And it was a cool experience. But I was shitting my pants because I went up second to last. And I'm glad I did because I got to see everyone else go. And I was, like, intimidated. But then I seen, like, Sebastian Maniscalco wasn't on the fucking show. So it was like, okay, you know, I'll be okay. I thought I was going to do better than I did, and I realized this is harder than I thought it was. So if I really want to do this, this is going to be harder than I think it is. And it has been.
Do you remember that first night? Do you remember any of the jokes that first night?
I still tell the one joke about the Asian massage parlor about getting my asshole fingered, and her finger got stuck in my ass like a Chinese finger trap, and she was playing tug of war at my butthole, saying, you know Reich? You know Reich? And it was weird because like I was wanting to scream out like, no, I don't fucking Reich. But the thing is, I've only had one other thing in my ass up until that point, and that was the straw from the lesbian boofing me. And her little sausage fingers were bigger than that straw. So, like, it shocked the shit out of me. Like, it really did. And I started thinking in my head, like, fuck, maybe I do Reich. The funny thing is, the massage parlor was literally 3 fucking doors away from the bar we were at. Yeah. Lucky Dragon.
Any of the workers over there in the crowd?
No, they didn't make it over after. They were still on their ship. And it was called the Lucky Dragon. And I remember like thinking like, how funny is this? You know, I got my asshole fingered there, and now, you know what I mean? Fucking 4 years later, I'm over here talking about it. But I remember like, I really was in a conundrum. Like, I started thinking like, am I gay? Because this feels kind of good. And I'm like thinking maybe I do right, you know, and I didn't know what to do. So I just gave her another $40 and just started, you know what I mean, jerking myself off. It was just, you know, but yeah, I remember that. And I remember the camaraderie afterwards of like the comedians like, hey, you know, nice job. But more of like everyone was talking about their set, you know, and there was like a comedian lingo, and I didn't know it, you know, and I was like listening to like almost in awe of it, like, oh, you know, like, what do you mean you had a bad set? What do you mean? Oh, you stumbled where? I didn't even know, you know.
Was it, so when you went up there the first time, was it like, you'd obviously been rehearsing, right?
Yeah, I've been like at home and shit.
But
yeah.
like delivery, is it like a thing where you have to like you can have a great joke, but it's the delivery, right?
1,000%.
Yeah.
So I that part, I would say I think the biggest thing most people do the first time they go up is, for me, I went too fast because I was nervous, and I was trying to like, I was just going too fast, you know, and people were like, you should record yourself, at least audio, just so you hear how fast you're going, like, so you slow down.
Sure.
And then, so I did that show, did the yesterday's show, and then I'm like, I'm going to do these open mics. And this is where it got like, I go do an open mic one night, it's a Sunday night, down in Homestead, you know, where comedy thrives in dive bars. And I go down there, about a minute and a half into it, no one's laughing. It's an open mic. No one gives a fuck that you're there. You're interrupting their football. They don't want to hear you. No one's even paying attention to me. And I just like froze. And I'm like, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm like, all right, I'm Mike Zydel. It's my time. And I put the mic down and I fucking left. This kid, Chris Scriva, chases after me. He goes, dude, what happened? I go, I fucked up. He goes, dude, everyone fucks up. It's an open mic. No one cares. They don't even know you were in there.
Yeah.
You know, one dude, I think he pissed his pants. He's sleeping at the bar. He goes, it wasn't like you were at the, you know, down PPG and just bombed in front of 20,000 people. No one gives a fuck. And I didn't realize that because I thought I was so important that like people were, I wasn't. I'm not, you know what I mean?
So it was a humbling thing.
Yeah. It was like my ego had to get the fuck out of the way. Like, you're not that important. You could bomb. No one's going home and talking about it.
Right.
No one. I'm not that important that people are going to focus on.
Right.
Hey, Mike Zydel. No. You just go up there and have fun. And if you can leave with an experience and maybe leave someone else with a positive experience,
yeah.
It's fucking win-win.
Do you still do open mics?
No.
Yeah. When's the last time you did one? Do you remember?
3 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah.
So, but if you wanted to, like, let's say it was a Thursday night. Is there open mics generally every night of the week if you wanted to find one?
Yeah, there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Pittsburgh is the big one. It's Scarpazi's. Dude named Ron Renwick, buddy of mine. He runs that. He's been running for years. Does a great job with that. That's like the best one. Thursday night, I'm not sure and I know Friday night there's one over in McKees Rocks Parkway. They call it Parkway.
Yeah,
but it's like the Roxy Theater thing.
Yeah,
but
is it like a rite of passage that after you get your sea legs, you just don't do them anymore?
No, you should probably still do them. I think a big thing for me was, one, the recovery thing. Two, just being completely honest, like I just didn't feel like I was fucking getting anything out of them. Like, I was trying to get in and I was trying to get out. Immediately. I did a show last Friday, Little Italy Days, Bloomfield. Guy books me on a show. Real nice kid. Newer comedy. There's 9 people on the show. I'm like, what the fuck is this? He was like, you're going to headline. I said, so 8 people are going to go tell jokes in front of me. And then I'm going to tell jokes for a half hour to 9 people downstairs in Bloomfield. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah. I said, don't that sound fucking dumb? I didn't say dumb. I said, it sounds like weird. But I only knew that because I made those same mistakes. When I book shows, I book everybody. I want to book all my friends. You can't tell no one no. That's how I was. So I said, dude, I'm a security guard and a nightclub is my second job. I gotta get to work. I said, let me go up at 8:30. So I go down there, and one of the cool things was I got to meet some of the newer comics that I haven't seen because I don't go to the open mics, and they came down and listened, and they were like, hey, dude, we heard about you, blah, blah, blah. Nice set. And it was cool because I like hung out for a second before that,
right,
and heard some of them, and brought back some memories.
I bet.
And I was like, I remember like trying to work things out, and when you hear them talking, it was like funny because they're like, I'm working on this new bit. One guy had like 9 months in it, working on this new bit. And I'm thinking, the biggest mistake that I ever made in comedy was always saying, I'm working on this new bit. Either, if you have a good joke, master that fucking joke. Master it. So you get up there and tell, you can count on that joke 10 out of 10 times. And then like build off of that. And I think too much emphasis now gets put on people are trying to get clips for the internet. You know what I mean? So they're doing a lot of crowd work where I don't do crowd work, and I think crowd work's awesome. I just never really got into it. I think there might be a time when I'm up on stage and you're always changing. You're always evolving.
Of course.
So I might like eventually like find a way to do crowd work might become part of my routine, but for now it's just not. But I feel now a lot of people force it because they want that clip for the internet. And now like your social media.
I forgot all about that. So So how do you manage your social media? Like
I suck at it.
But I mean, like, do you think about, okay, well, it's Thursday, once a week I'm going to put out a clip of this, or do you structure it?
No, I got a guy I got my podcast, Greenfield's Finest Podcast.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
And the dude who does the editing and Eagle Tits. Yeah.
I know Eagle Tits.
Yeah. So Eagle Tits like helps me post clips on social media. So he'll take shit from the pod. So like every week we're basically putting out an hour and a half of content. So like you could watch whatever, but he'll try to take a couple clips, post them, things like that. They just like generally don't do great. Sometimes one will catch fire.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll think something's so funny, and then he'll post it, and it's just like nothing. And I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I need to get like some more professional style clips of myself doing stand up to post them, because those do well. Because visually, if it's like good camera, good sound, you know, people are gonna watch that. If it's a fucking some dude's fucking Samsung cricket phone from the back of the room through 7 rows of people, and I'm up there like, you know what I mean? So she says, you know, Reich, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I do, Reich. People are like, what the fuck is this? But then if you got the camera in my face and you see my facial expression,
and it's filmed right, yeah. Production value is, I mean, that's, you know, I still say that's the only way this podcast got legs, because that was so interesting visually in the beginning. Yeah, people were like, what the fuck is this? I don't know who that is. I don't even know who that is, but like, it's just, why does it look so good,
dude?
Where's that at? You know what I mean? So I think the visuals were the first thing to grab people.
And, and every time I come in here, it feels like I'm like in a professional studio. Like it feels professional. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to like where you come to, it's in a, you know, a VIP section of a bar.
Yeah, but content's everything.
Yeah.
Don't you think? In the end, content's everything. You can do content in the dirty alley, and if it's funny or if it's people want to watch it, they're going to watch it.
Yeah.
You know?
But there is something about like, and I think it like, something about in here, like it's the way it's set up, I'm more inclined to talk, open up
that's
more.
That's what I want.
It's a warm environment.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's all I wanted from the beginning, was someplace interesting, a little weird, and people would enjoy, and people feel relaxed when I come in here. Like, everybody comes in and sits down. No one's ever been totally stressed out. There was one guy I had OCD. Oh, you could have got a bit out of this one. Every like 10 minutes, he had to go out. He was chain smoking. And I noticed, though, I thought he was just smoking cigarettes, but apparently he was smoking weed, because as the show went on, I noticed he didn't have to go out as much, and he was a lot more calm.
So dude was just stoned to the bejesus.
Yeah, by the second, third hour, he was just, I guess he figured, I guess his OCD isn't a problem anymore.
Thank God that he just was like doing weed, not coke. It would have took 7 hours to do a podcast, because it's the complete opposite with that. It's like, well, yeah, I just did a bump. Oh, I can wait 15 minutes. It goes from 15 minutes to 3 minutes. To pretty much, like, you're just sitting here with a pile of coke, like, dude, shut the camera off.
Wait. It's okay. I've always wanted to ask somebody who used to use heavily.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about, if you can remember, when you're stoned on like an amphetamine, like something that speeds you up,
like cocaine
or pills, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, the concept of time.
Yeah.
Does that change?
Yes.
I mean, do you feel like it's, while you're going through it, do you feel like your concept of space and time changes?
I'll say this. The best way I can explain it. So, especially if you're having fun. So, if you're doing a bunch of coke, you're having fun. It also depends on the way you're doing it. I know it's just going to sound crazy, but if you're, snorting lines, hanging out, it's more of a social thing. People around the coffee table, playing cards, fucking around. Time goes pretty quick.
Okay.
Next thing you know, it feels like an hour went by, fucking birds start chirping. Every crackhead, cokehead, whatever, hates those fucking birds, because that day is here now, and you got to face it head on. Now, I can tell you this. When I've smoked crack, time went a lot faster. I'm talking like it went from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock like that. And the only thing in between that I did different was like, the only thing that happened was I had to go buy more crack because I ran out of crack. Now, the one time for me, I was getting high with this guy. I'll never forget it. We both got our income tax returns at the same time. It was my first time out of rehab. His first time out of rehab. He was in school to be a pharmacist. And I remember we were like, dude, let's party. We're not getting drug tested for 3 days or 4 days. So party at night and then we're done for good. That's what we told each other. So we get our income tax checks and we're doing cocaine. And I remember someone said, you can shoot it. And we were both heroin addicts too. We were like, what? And we were like, yeah. Now, when I did cocaine intravenously, I don't know what happened or what black hole I entered of the dimension. But like, as soon as I did it, the first thing that happened is I felt like a train was going through my head. And then I threw up. And I thought, 30 seconds after I threw up, I said, this is the best day of my life. And literally, I swear on anything, 5 hours went by, felt like 15 minutes, and I couldn't fucking tell you what happened in those past 5 hours. You know, I couldn't fucking remember anything.
Like they just go.
They go. Next thing you know, dude's like, I remember sitting there and a dude's like, it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I remember he was like, dude, I kind of got to pull it together at 6. I got to meet my mom. I'm like, all right, we got time. Yeah, I remember. He was like, dude, it's fucking 5:45. He's covered in sweat. There's fucking puke all over the bathroom because we're puking. And I'm like, how the fuck did that just happen? You know, and it fucking, any upper, you speed up time. Now you think with opiates, like, no, it slows it down. No, same fucking thing. Drugs in general, it just speeds up time.
Yeah, because I remember, you know, smoking a lot of dope when I was younger for a period of time, and it didn't seem to slow time. If anything, I just, you know, was so hazed out, I lost time. Next thing I know, it was like the morning already.
Yeah. And drugs in general, especially if you're having fun. I mean, because like fun, it goes so fast. Misery.
In general, it does. Yeah.
Misery takes so long. It feels like, and that's all our mental state. You know, like that's us playing a trick on ourselves.
Of course.
I mean, like, you know, like you feel like when you're going through a fucking breakup or anything like that, like it's taken forever. It's been 3 days. You know what I mean? You're like, this has been the worst year of my life. You know, and you broke up 2 days ago. And on the other hand, you're on a fucking you're on vacation, like going on vacation. That's the old adage, like when you're driving down there, don't it always seem like coming home so much faster?
Of course.
Because vacation's over.
It's a mind fuck.
Yeah, because it's the anticipation.
Of course.
And everyone goes, getting back. We got back quick. No, we got back in the same fucking time. It was just like the inevitable was we're headed back home. Vacation's over. Fucking time goes. Headed down there, we you know what I mean? We couldn't wait to get there, so it felt like it was taking forever.
Correct. The anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it a lot when you're young.
Yeah.
Especially. And as the older you get, trust me when I tell you, days just turn into minutes. It's like I fight that every day. I want to make sure I get my money's worth, but man, it's like the time goes fast. Have you ever heard those people who believe like that something's happening in our timeline, like things are speeding up?
No.
Yeah, it's a YouTube thing. Check it out. Like people are thinking that time is speeding up, and they're hell bent on, I don't believe it, but they're hell bent on believing this theory that time over the past couple decades is like going faster now. I don't know how that's possible, but
that's an interesting theory. And the funny thing about stuff like that is you can get enough people behind it, and you can get a little bit of production value. You can fucking convince anybody of everything.
You and I can make that video.
Right.
And convince people.
And just tell a bunch of bullshit. And now someone's going to catch on. Someone's like, that doesn't even make sense. But then there's going to be other people that say, you got to watch this video. These two guys were explaining that we're basically losing 7 minutes a day. So we're basically going to die in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like,
have you seen the video? It's called "Birds Aren't Real."
Yes. I'm living with someone right now who's fucking under the assumption that birds aren't real. I said, I just fed them. I seen it shit. Robots don't shit or fucking, you know what I mean? They're not if birds aren't real, you're telling me the government is putting robot shit on my car every morning? What is it then? They're not all of them, but some of them. I said, get the fuck out of here.
Not all of them.
What would if the government would waste money
just to spy on fucking pigeons.
Yeah, to spy on me, you're not getting much. I mean, I don't even fucking watch porn anymore.
Just a dirty electric toothbrush.
Right. A boof straw you might find from 17 years ago. I forgot to throw it away. I kept it as a souvenir.
Oh man.
But
All right.
yeah.
I know, but no, your point's well taken. I mean, now, so how many times do you end up going down the rabbit hole on YouTube? You start one place, and that leads you to some other place, and they're scrolling reels at you, and you're like,
yeah, I will say this. Okay, it starts for me when I love the crypto scams. I don't like people getting ripped off.
Right.
I like the reveal of you're a scumbag. So I kind of got hooked on that CoffeeZilla.
yeah,
I like CoffeeZilla.
Yeah.
He's like kind of a character.
yep,
And I would be like, I'd watch his whole video. And the next thing you know, I want to see what the other guy says. So I'm watching this guy's video. But then pops up a video that another guy made about both of them. So I got to watch this guy's video. So now I've got 4 hours of my life invested into something that doesn't fucking affect me one bit. I own none of CryptoZoo, Logan Paul's cryptocurrency. I'm not buying any. I don't know anyone that fucking owns any, and I've just wasted 4 hours of my life to find out from CoffeeZilla. Basically, it boils down to is getting sued by Logan Paul. That was the end. They could have wrote a sentence. At the end of it all, CoffeeZilla is getting sued by Logan Paul. Logan Paul, maybe not him, but his team scam people. And the same thing starts. And I've noticed a thing, and I do believe this. I do believe there's people out in Hollywood and these influencers stuff. There's people that are way smarter than them. And they're like, let's get to them. And I feel like they did it to the Hawk Tuah girl.
of course.
And they got to her. You're going to be able to do good with this money, blah. Like, I don't think the Hawk Tuah girl was inherently evil. But, like, that scam fucked so many people over. So I'm like, what do you do? Like, why aren't they going after these people? You know, that always, like, because they're not the first. This isn't the first time this group of people has done something like it. And they're latching on to every influencer. And you got to think at some point that one influencer would be like, no, you fucking ruined 4 careers of this. You know what I mean?
Hasn't happened yet, though.
30 years ago, no one would ever thought a catchphrase could turn into a career. A Hawk Tuah, you know what I mean? You might have been on the news, on a morning radio. They might have played it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Stern or something.
Right. That's it. And now it's like you get caught on the internet, you go viral. All of a sudden, next thing you know, someone calls you. You got a manager. You're making an appearance. I mean, people don't realize. I was one of those people. I said, why is this pay off so much? All of a sudden, if you're hot, you're getting paid $20,000 to make an appearance at a nightclub.
Yep.
You just show up, wave your hand. Hey, tonight we're gonna have Hawk Tuah in the building. She's like, hey, what's up, y'all? Hawk in the building. Hawk Tuah. And she just made 20 grand. She fucking does that 4 nights a week. That's 80 grand. That's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Go to work. I got to work 2 jobs all year. I'm not there yet. I'm getting close, but I'm not at 80 grand. You know what I mean? And it's like 3 jobs, and it's like fucking Hawk Tuah just fucking made more than me in a week just going to nightclubs. And it's like, wow. You know what I mean? Like it blows my mind. And that's why I see those people making that money.
Yeah.
It's so fat. That's why there's the people like, okay, you know what I mean? We're there's fast money. There's going to come some bad people. And they're going to come take that money off you.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course, man. There's a victim born every minute.
Yep.
You know, no matter what. I mean, it's like somebody's going to win and somebody or somebodies are going to lose.
Yeah. 1,000%.
You know?
So, I mean, like that was, but yeah, and I'm a big alien guy. Love aliens. I believe in aliens.
Me too.
Always have been and I feel like more and more, it's gotten very, what's that? I don't know what the word I'm going to say.
Mainstream?
That's it.
Yeah.
It's gone mainstream.
Well, the government just goes during the pandemic and tells us by the way, there's aliens. And we're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And then we got, and
How'd
then
that happen?
right. And but then now me, because I'm so cynical now because of everything, like I'm watching like Skinwalker Ranch and I'm like, they're showing us what they want us to see. If there was something out there that really was fucked up, they're not going to let us see it. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're only letting us see what they want us to see on the History Channel. You know, and like they're not.
Giorgio.
Yeah, I love him. I mean, and they're 23 seasons into that fucking show. And I remember, and I love it whenever they refer to the ancient alien like people. They're like, oh, ancient alien enthusiasts. They'll be like, I'm like, no, these crop circles are considered to be real by most ancient alien enthusiasts. That could be fucking me and you. You know what I mean? And I love all that shit, you know. I love how they go through it. I do. I love the crops. I love the caves.
They give you a lot of interesting background on it.
Yeah, and I think it's broken down in layman's terms for the most part, and it's like it's kind of like after you sit there and you think about how far behind some civilizations we could be, and people go like, you know, if they're 1,000 years, imagine 10,000 years. If they're a fucking 100 years ahead of us, look at the progress we've made in 100 years. Imagine what it's going to be like in the next 100. Imagine someone who's 100 or 200 ahead of that, what they look at us like, you know?
Yeah, but here's what's quirky, though. Here's what's quirky. I agree with you 100%. Like, as we go further, it gets accelerated. But think about how it was kind of slow until around 1950s, 1960s. And then they had that Roswell thing, and then all of a sudden technology explodes. Next thing you know, we're on the moon, and all these supercomputers. And what happened in 1950-ish where it just accelerated immediately? All this.
I mean, I believe the Roswell crash.
Something.
There
we got the technology from somewhere.
There was a couple crashes. Wasn't there one up in Ohio, too?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, and Roswell's the one that always gets talked about, but there was another one, and it's like, well, they start doing reverse engineering, and then you start hearing the things that aliens are visited, and you know maybe they fucking did. Maybe they did talk to the president. And the thing was, they made a deal with them. And I'm thinking, why would they need to make a deal with us? They could basically do whatever they wanted, you know. And they were saying the deal was like they're allowed to kidnap so many people, and then you hear about people getting chipped, and you're like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like, why? That's fucking wild. But then you watch the guy who got chipped, and he's like us. And I'm like, then you got the doctor who did all the chip removals, and he's like, that's his profession. And you're like, holy fuck. And there's that rabbit hole. And then I'm like, oh man, dude.
All right. The podcast is now how many years?
This is our fifth. We're walking into the fifth year.
Possible.
Yeah,
because you guys started about a year after me.
We started
same year maybe.
We started January 2020, right before COVID.
Yeah,
I remember a couple weeks into it.
Yep,
COVID started getting talked about, and I remember us saying like, everybody, you know, because we're a bunch of fucking goofs, and it's just like everybody got to chill the fuck out, you know. And I remember, and I literally feel like they turned that into such a political fuckfest event. Of course. And, you know, if you got I would have never got vaccinated, except the only reason I did was I wanted to go to New York. And, of course, New York, you couldn't go there unless you were vaccinated. Right. And I fucking got vaccinated.
Yeah, same with me. If I had to do it over again, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, neither would I. And, you know, I got the... What's that called? The Johnstown and Johnstown. But they were, you know, it came out and they were like,
Johnstown.
Yeah. They came out and they said.
That was the one shot, right? You only needed one.
They're saying now that was better. Instead of getting, I know people still getting fucking boosters. Still getting boosters.
Come on.
I'm not lying.
Like Pfizer and stuff. I think Pfizer is what I had. I got 2.
And it's funny because they're still running ads.
I know.
Still running fucking ads. And it's like, when does their fucking greed end? And I hate.
What if they turn it around again? A couple of years, it could happen.
Why not? Why not for them? Why not make it another $1 trillion? Why not get everyone addicted to opiates so then you can sell them the cure? You know what I mean?
Amen to that.
I mean, you got how many fucking heroin addicts, drug addicts that end up on medication afterwards? You know, it's like I'm blessed. I had tried those. I had tried the methadone. Didn't work for me. I tried the Suboxone. You know what I mean?
You got some good material out of that, though.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. And it did, but like literally now in some rehabs, like you're there, you're deathly ill. You're well, you feel like it. It's in your head. If heroin withdrawal, I think is the one of the withdrawals you cannot die. I think alcohol and like Xanax is the only two you can die from because of seizures. Heroin you can't die from. You just feel like you're dying. But you're there and you're in a state of like, I'm going to die. And some of these rehabs, they give you this pitch. We could keep, if you think you're going to go out and use, we could keep you on methadone right now. And then, who the fuck isn't going to say, yeah, and then to say, I'll get off it later.
Right.
And then they're not only that, they're sending people home with prescriptions of fucking Neurontin and everything else. And we go, ooh, what's Neurontin? Neurontin's like a nerve pill, anti-anxiety, does all these things. What it does, if you eat a handful of them, they kind of fuck you up. You're in a rehab full of fucking drug addicts. Some of these dudes are drinking hand sanitizer to get high. Damn. So now you're sending them home with these, and they're getting jammed up right again. Guess what? The Neurontin runs out. I'm going to get high.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel like we're setting people up for success. We're setting them up for fucking failure. And I feel like it almost reminds me of high school. Like, I felt like there was so much shit they didn't do in high schools. And it's like, I feel like they do the same thing in rehab. Like, you're on your own. They send you out, here's a meeting list, make it to the, you know what I mean? And it's like, you got to get to the meeting, you got to do this. But like, my big thing real quick with the high school thing is like, in lower income areas, why don't we incentivize these kids to come to school? Like, hey, if you maintain this average, we're going to help you. We're not going to give you money, but we're going to help you start a bank account.
Sure.
We're going to help you get your driver's license.
Yeah.
So when you fucking graduate from here, you have a bank account and a driver's license. How many of these kids from lower income areas graduate with fucking neither?
No.
And then you're thinking like, your buddies and that, and it's like, we didn't have a car growing up, but they're like, oh, we're going to teach you. We have a driving class.
Right.
So you can take part in that, but you got to maintain this 2.0 average. You got to do this, and it's like, we're not setting them up for the next phase of their life.
No.
We're fucking not.
Well, we're not teaching them the basics of money either.
No.
All public schools, no matter what the income level is, none of them are teaching the basics of money.
Pittsburgh public schools is falling apart.
None of them.
And they're down 30%. And they go, oh, well, it's because it's because people are moving to the fucking suburbs.
Of course.
Because the schools are so much better.
Right.
That's why. And they want to give their kids a chance. It's not, it literally isn't a white and black thing. It's
I agree wholeheartedly.
And I've always believed this. Like, they fucking pushed it. They've always said, like, tried to make us believe that it was white and black. No, it's a money thing that divides. Money is what divides us. It's not, because you go to lower income areas, middle income areas, and then obviously higher end areas. And money is what divides everything.
Of course. I think, do you remember there was that national comic who passed away, the real heavy guy, Ralphie May. Yeah. Didn't he used to always say it wasn't about white, black, yellow, or green. It was about rich and poor.
Yeah. Yeah. And he couldn't have been more fucking right about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth.
And you don't, and you can grow up poor, and you don't have to stay poor. It doesn't mean you're going to end up rich. I mean, I think, I don't have kids, but I think you as a father, now a grandfather, like, you're always thinking, I want to leave my kids in a better position than I was left in.
Of course.
And if that tradition continues, then guess what? Like, then them grandkids are going to be in great shape.
Exactly. And that's, but I think that every family can do that regardless of whatever position they find themselves in. I mean, I would have loved to be able to send my kid to CMU.
Sure.
But it wasn't in the cards.
Right.
For a lot of reasons, it wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
So I think it's like taking the best that you have and trying to make it the best you can.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, kids, and I hate the fact that, like, seeing, like, a young kid makes it through high school, gets into college, goes to school, and now he's in all his fucking debt, or she's in all this debt. And
It's horrible.
I've seen a lot of parents now, more than ever, take on second jobs because they don't want their kids to have that to leave there with a $200,000 debt hanger. How the fuck? I'm sorry. It's the truth. How the hell were you supposed to start your life $200,000 in debt when the entry level jobs are paying $30,000 a year?
Right.
You know,
If the system's broke. Yeah, higher education, especially now, it's to the point where you almost have to, I don't know, it seems like to me you almost have to create a T account. Is the return worth the investment? Is it worth spending $100,000 on this education? And how long is it going to take me to make up this money?
Right.
And if you're not, in the sciences or a specialized skill like a doctor or a law degree or something, if you're just a general degree, you don't stand a chance.
Go. And that's where it's like, I always felt like when I was younger, there was like, I wish I would have listened more and not partied so much. But if there's someone out there younger listening, like, they're talking about AI this, AI, which, it is going to take some jobs. I believe it will. It's just human, service is not going to take service.
Nope.
There's, you become an electrician.
A lot of trades.
The trades, it's going to be almost nearly impossible for AI to take. Now, AI can make their job easier.
Yeah.
You can go in
You're
there,
gonna know how to use AI.
diagnose the problem faster, get used to AI 100%. Can be your friend.
100%.
But I just don't feel like there's I don't know. I don't feel like there's a ton of younger people jumping in the trades. Like,
not enough.
My girlfriend's cousin, younger kid, he went Central Catholic, decided not to go to college, ended up going to trade school for welding, does really well now. He's on the road a lot, oil and gas, welding, but making good money. And he's like 21 years old. And now there's like other kids who I'm thinking about who are going to be like 21, 22, and they're getting out with all that debt. And it's like, what do you want?
It's exactly it. What do you want? How do you want your future to look?
And how long? And like, if you're welded and stuff, guys make, over $100,000 a year, and it's like, how long would it take you to get out of college to get to that amount of money if you don't have one of those specialized degrees?
Correct.
You're never going to get there.
Correct.
Because you're fighting against everyone else.
You're paying a mortgage to an education. You're never going to own a house, right. at least for 10 years, because you're already paying a mortgage for the stupid, the college fund.
Yeah.
It's insane.
My buddy, Angelo, moved out to Vegas. He graduated Allegheny. Allegheny's a great college.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Graduated from their business degree, moved out to Vegas, got in working at the hotels, worked his way up, ended up getting a pretty good job at Red Bull, making good money. Wife went to Duquesne nursing school. She moved out to Vegas. Nurses make a killing out there. He started some but it took time.
Certainly.
You know what I mean?
Certainly.
It took time. And I think, like, he set a good example. Like, you can accomplish shit. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, and I think the patience part of it is not real easy for a lot of society now, because I think Instagram, especially Instagram, everything looks immediate. I want this now. I want this Rolex now. I want this fancy car now. I want this success now. And it's not how life works.
No, and there's a comedy example of that. Comedian Matt Rife. People go,
yeah,
he fucking came out of nowhere. No, he didn't. Fucking guy started doing comedy when he was 16. You know what I mean? Sending letters to Dane Cook and shit, asking what he could do. Got on an MTV show, wilding out. You know what I mean? Like, got his teeth fixed. Yeah, he looks, good looking guy, handsome. But fucking guy's been doing it forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? He didn't just start doing it.
It's an illusion.
Right. And then people go, oh, because you know what? And I'm not saying Matt Rife only posted, but I'm saying we only see what we want to see.
But we only post the good stuff.
That's true.
I mean, everybody's guilty, me included. Social media is a highlight reel, man.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole reel.
Right. Right. It's not like, you didn't see me getting up for work, you know what I mean, today, walking down the steps, discouraged, making my cup of coffee, you know what I mean, going to take a piss, but I got a boner and I piss all over the back of the seat. And, you know, and I'm just like, fuck. Going back upstairs, getting paper towels, cleaning the piss off so I don't get yelled at. You know, then I can't find my house keys. I can't find my car keys. So I'm motherfucking everybody. You know, and I'm sitting there looking for 2 socks that match, and I can't find them. I have 9,000 socks. You know what I mean? And I can't find a pair that matches. And like, you know, I started wearing like different underwear because like I got like an ambassador deal with this Hello underwear to like wear their underwear. It's fucking weird at 44.
You got to take photos?
Yeah. I had to send them in, and it was weird because I sent in, you know, they were like, well, what happened was I ordered the underwear a couple times. I liked them. And they don't know, they were sending out to everybody who was ordering the underwear over repeated times. Interested in being an ambassador, let us know, fill this document out online. So I go online, I'm like, okay. Then they're like, okay, they got back to me. Would you be interested in a $50 voucher for, you know, Hello underwear? You know, please upload pictures wearing underwear. So it kind of tells you where they might be at. They might not even use your picture, but you just have to upload a picture. I'm like, this could be just some like dirty old man. But who cares? I'm getting $50 worth of free underwear, so I don't give a fuck. So I took I'm 44, and I'm like in the mirror, and I'm taking these weird fucking pictures. So I'm like, that's just not good enough. So I go up, I get out of the shower, I throw the underwear on, and I'm like all like dripping wet, and I make this like weird face, like, and I take the fucking picture, and it was like, it was just, you know, and it's fucking hilarious, you know. And then they're like, they sent me my voucher. I don't know where these pictures are, you know. I recently
can imagine where they are.
They said they're coming out with, but here's the now the new one they're coming out with. It's called Icebox, and they're already out, and like those are the ones I want, and but they're like see through. So now I'm like, where am I going with this? Like, why do I need see-through? I'm cutting grass. I'm a fucking landscaper. Why do I need see-through silk underpants on? You know what I mean? I don't, but it's like, you know, like, I don't know if I feel comfortable taking a picture and those, you know, like, because they can't show it. I can't imagine it, because I've never seen they don't ask for those in pictures, because I've never seen those being modeled, because you can't. You'd see your dickle, you know, and it's just like, but I'm just like, this is what I did all my efforts for, to get these see-through silk underpants.
See, it's all been worth it, man.
Yeah, it's like the fucking claw at Dave and Buster's, and you're just reaching, hoping for that prize. And finally, after fucking making all the deposits, I finally got my silk see-through underwear.
All right, Greenfield's finest.
Yeah.
All right, so 5 years now. What's the biggest takeaway for you? What's the biggest lesson you've learned? 5 years of podcasting, live stream podcasting.
Don't ever, if your instinct is to quit, give yourself at least a week to think about it.
Okay.
At least a week to think about it. Because my first instinct's been wrong, and I would have regretted quitting it several times, because financial reasons, mainly, because it was like, you know, we're fortunate, we have sponsors. The sponsors are great. Sometimes sponsors go through shit.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, dude, I don't have it right now. You know what I mean? And then we don't charge a lot, but it's like, who am I to tell you what's a lot and what's a little?
Of course.
Are you even getting any return on your advertisement? You're just trying to, maybe you're just that kind-hearted. I believe in my heart that most of these people are just good people trying to help out.
Sure.
To keep the podcast running. You know, we have a Patreon, and that's helped keep the podcast afloat. And some, like I say, you give it a week, and something will happen in that week that'll tell you what direction to go. And 10 out of 10 times, I've gotten a fucking call, because we have voicemails, we play them, we have a couple truckers that listen, and they'll be like, man, love the podcast, boys. Keep going. Just signed up for Big Dick Tier on on the Patreon. No shit on that Patreon, but I know just support the podcast. God bless. I'm gonna come to Pittsburgh soon, boys. Surely, you better have some bumps ready for me. I ain't getting drug tested for a while. Overnight. And you're like, I can't quit doing this. This is all this fucking guy got. That's all he fucking...
You goofs.
Yeah. It's fucking us. Like, and it's weird because you meet people and it's like, they'll say, hey, man. And it's like they know you. I'm not talking like a lot of people.
I understand.
But a couple.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
It was crazy. I was spraying for weeds the other day. Subaru pulls up. This older black dude gets out, dressed in a tee, comes up to me. I'm thinking, first thing comes to my head, he's probably interested in service. You know, he probably wants some landscaping services. And he was like, man, I thought I recognized you. I'm like, you did? I'm thinking, how could we, we could live in the same neighborhood. I don't know. And he's like, man, I seen you down the Improv a couple years back. You know, I'd like done something, and he was like, I started listening to that podcast of yours. He's like, that's some wild shit. And I started, and I'm like, and he's like, this guy's probably 55 years old, business guy, cool dude, never know who's fucking listening. And I'm like, that was cool. Like to hear that dude's listening. I love when women listen. We do have women listeners, not a lot. We do have some.
You never know.
Yeah, we have. It's funny. We always talk about growing up in Greenfield. There was a gang of girls. They were called the Crows, and they were hot. And they like some of them end up on Howard Stern, and but they were all hot. And like we talk about it all the time. Like, dude, how many neighborhoods had like a girl gang of hot chicks that like would beat up other girls? Like they would go out to like nightclubs and stuff like that and fucking beat the fuck out of other girls. And like they were all hot. And I was like, it was just crazy. And like some of the Crows listen, and you got to be careful because the Crows are a couple years older than us. The Crows had kids. The Crows went on to be like successful women. You know what I mean? That's why we won't say their names. You know what I mean? Like I don't want like someone who's like working at a fucking an office somewhere to be like, wait a minute. Like my body listens to this podcast, right? You ain't gonna believe we heard by a friend. She was in a fucking girl gang called the Crows. The one girl stabbed someone. Yeah. Ain't that some? They took out a page in the yearbook at Alderdice. They were fucking nuts. And she's had HR. Hopefully she don't stab anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, we walked that line where like, I don't ever want to, I want it to be fun. I don't ever want to drag up someone's past that could hurt them.
Yeah, I get it.
But they don't, but the Crows is pretty harmless. They didn't really do nothing bad. They were just hot chicks that were in a gang, but I'm sure they don't want their daughters knowing that, that they were in a girl gang.
Do you ever like, so you guys do a live stream. So that's like being on just live. I mean,
well,
how do you film?
We film it and then we have to take commercial breaks for the sponsors.
Okay.
Nothing gets edited out. So it's not a live stream, but it's just like we get through the end of the one segment and the end of wrap it up. It's with phone calls and we leave the number and say, all right, everyone take a commercial break. Be right back. More Greenfield Flash podcast. Stop the podcast. Dude inserts commercials.
Okay.
Do the same thing 2 more times. And then the next morning, like, he goes
out.
Yeah. He listens to it, make sure he has to adjust any audio problems, anything like that.
So it's like a 1-day delay then.
Yeah, Tuesday night we record, Wednesday morning it comes out.
But there's no editing.
None. There was one time there was an editing because someone had come in the room and they said something and it was just fucking fucked up. It was just like, and because I know for sure, and like I actually I do the polar plunge. I started doing it like every year as like a tradition. It's for Special Olympics.
Uh-huh.
I know we have a listener that I love. He lives in Virginia Beach. His son's special needs. Someone came in the room the one day, said something, and then it was just like, I'm like, cut that out. And then like dude's like, yeah. I don't want that shit because I don't want that guy,
of course,
to be having a good day.
Yep.
And hear the word fucking retard. You know what I mean?
It's horrible.
Yep. I don't want him to and ruin his day.
Yep.
Fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't what this is about, you know? And it was the way the guy said it.
Yeah. The context.
Yeah. It was fucked up. Like, he came in, like, just saying, he said it multiple times. And I'm like, bro, we're in the middle of a fucking podcast. You know, he said, you guys say, I'm like, no, we don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? We say some fucking goofy shit, but we don't say shit like that.
Yeah, context is everything.
Right.
You know
like sometimes
that's comedy, right?
Right.
You got another context.
And it wasn't. It was out of anger telling a story. Yep. It just wasn't appropriate.
Yeah.
But that, I'd say that was the one time that we had added something on. That was it.
It's pretty good though for all those shows.
Oh yeah, there's and there's times going back. I wish we would have edited some other stuff out. I mean, some of the shit we said at the beginning, and it's like now, you know, it's like because
are they cringeworthy? Like, have you ever gone back and listened to the original ones?
They sucked. They sucked.
I feel that way about this too. Trust me.
They sucked. We had a segment where our boy Yogi would come on and be like, Yogi, give us your best bet of the week. And then he'd play this like corny ass music, like, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. He's like, dude, I'm going to tell you what, right now, this week, I'm going to take the Bears -3. And then he would talk about his fantasy football team. You know who cares about your fantasy football team? Fucking no one. No one else on earth cares about your own fantasy football team. You know what I mean? Like, no one. It is a horrible, like, if you're ever out there right now and you're ever going to get into broadcasting or anything, never talk about your fucking fantasy football team. Because guess what? No one gives a shit about them. Win, lose, no one cares. And we talked about that shit. Like, it was like going to be like a sports funny gambling. And it was like, this ain't up. You know what I mean? Like, this, we like to gamble. No one wants to hear this. No one wants to hear about fantasy football. Like, let's just, and then we started picking stories.
Right.
And then
it
turned,
it evolved. It evolved.
We know, yeah. And then the calls changed a lot. Like when we started getting voicemails, that was cool, you know. And then it was like and now it's like we just have like a set segments how it goes, you know. Corn Dick of the Week, Brother in Arms, you know. And
Corn Dick of the Week.
It's Corn Dick's such a weird word. I got it from my Uncle Ray. He passed away, but he's lived in Florida. He called everyone a corn dick. I don't know why. He's like, fucking corn dick. And I just never got, I'm like, what is a corn dick? He's like, a little corn dick. You know, like, look at that little corn dick. And I'm just like, whatever. But I said, this is a great corn dick of the week, you know, and we have like our own language. Like we say, we call like a chick's butt like a root. And like
a root?
A root. And like if a chick's hot, you'd be like, dude, you'd say you would grease her root, which means you would eat her butt. So like Greenfield got like its own fucking language.
Yeah,
like,
you need your own dictionary down there.
Oh
you
yeah,
should write that.
Be like, oh, that chick's fucking boyfriend's a corn dick. I would fucking grease her root. You know what I mean? No one would be like, what the fuck did they just say? I mean, I remember like it was just funny because like working outside, like working construction, like the way that you would like describe how hot a chick was, it wasn't like 1 through 10. It was like, what would you let them do to you, basically? Like, you know, and it would be like, 1 would be like, oh, you're. By the time you got to 10, it was like, yeah, I'd let her shit right on my chest. And then someone else, like, you know, she was that hot. Like, he would know how hot she was because that dude said, I'd let her shit on my chest. He goes, you missed it. I let her shit right on my chest. I didn't care. And you're just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm talking about. Dudes talk. I mean, construction, outside dudes talk like that. Like, yeah, I'd let her fart I'd let her fart on my head. No questions asked. Yeah, and it's just like a weird saying. I mean, dude, we joke around. I mean, I worked in a nightclub, and obviously you see attractive women, but like, we'll joke around, and I've said stupid shit on, dude's like, man, that chick's not bad. I was like, dude, I'd let her fart right on my head, no questions asked. And it's funny,
So wait, so you're still doing 2 gigs, 3 gigs actually.
I do the landscaping.
Yeah.
And then at night on the weekends, I do the security over at the Butler Street Derby.
Right.
And then comedy.
Yeah.
And then every other Thursday we do bar bingo. Every Thursday we do bar bingo at Butler Street Derby. But there's a buddy of mine, Josh. He's a gay guy, and I'm not saying that there's not, but it's funny because he does it. It's called Bad Bitch Bingo, and I watched him do it, and it's totally different than when I do it. And he busts my balls because he openly admitted, he's like, I can say shit that you can't say. So, like, for instance, like one of the prizes is like this vagina wax. So a chick will come spin the wheel, and it'll be like, or a dude might win, and he'll be like, come up here and get your pussy wax. And then, like, if I said, he could say it and everyone's dying. He told me this the morning. He's like, think about this. He was like, if you say it, you're a fucking creep. I say it's hilarious. He was like, I play the fuck out of that gay card, and I still,
of course.
And I was like, good for you, John. And he's hilarious, and he's right, dude. You know what I mean? And but it makes sense too. Like, I agree with him. Like, yes, you should be able to say, come up here, bitch, get your pussy waxed. I shouldn't be able to say that because that would be creepy,
What's your schedule like, man? You got events coming up?
Yeah. Coming up September 5th. So I'll have 10 years sober August 31st.
Yeah.
September 5th, I'm doing a comedy show at the Liedertafel over in Bloomfield. It's the German club over there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool space. So I'm doing a show over there. I think we had to reschedule from the 29th to the 5th, but it all worked out. I'll be posting. You can see it on, Mike Zydel on Facebook.
Yeah.
Also, Greenfield's Finest Podcast. It's all posted on social media. Get tickets through Eventbrite. Be able to get tickets at the door also. But that's going to be at 8 p.m. The Liedertafel. Just type in Liedertafel German Club Bloomfield. You'll find it. And then we have a big show coming up at the Butler Street Derby, September 19th. It's me, Joe Welsh, my buddy Ty Mack, and there's a guy coming on, Johnny Pittsburgh.
Johnny Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's got a huge following. I didn't know who he was, and I started watching his stuff. He's really funny. He's actually going to come on Greenfield's Finest Podcast this week. So
Johnny Pittsburgh.
I invited him on. He does obviously all Pittsburgh stuff. It's funny. He talks a lot about the worst merger. Like, he's a cut up.
Okay.
So he's worth checking out. But he's going to be on the show. So I'm excited to see what his bits are like.
Sure.
But I'm excited to get him on the podcast. I want to see, and I told him, I said, dude, like, we don't have a lot of guests. We had like a stripper come on twice. And we were literally just made her part of the show. We didn't really there wasn't like a stripper portion. Like,
right.
Okay, now we're, she didn't answer. Yeah, we had a couple questions. Like, what's the biggest tip you ever got? And it was like 10 grand. Yeah, that blew my mind. I'm like, holy fuck.
You're in the wrong business, pal.
Yeah. I got to start taking more underwear pictures. Selling my underwear to old men. You know what I mean? And I was like, we'll just give you show notes so because we have like our show notes and so exactly what stories we're covering, and you'll just fit right in. It makes it easier. But we've had we've only had a couple guests. We had like Will back, Wiz Khalifa's manager. We had Chevy Woods. He's in Taylor Gang, but he's a rapper.
Right. Also
grew up in Hazelwood.
Right.
So we played football with him. Lifelong friend of him. His real name's Kevin Woods. Fucking great dude. But he lives out in L.A. He raps, tours, all that. But he came on. He was probably the best guest we ever had because he brought back a lot of stories.
Of course.
Of us playing football. And looking back on them times, it was a really cool moment because Greenfield was like a predominantly white neighborhood. Hazelwood at the time was predominantly black, and those kids they went from like having a football team. Sometimes they didn't, sometimes they, and they came up and played. And I learned more about life playing midget football than I probably did anywhere else.
Sure.
You know,
I get it.
And it was just, it was a great experience. And we're still friends together. That's why I always think I love you brought that Ralphie May quote. Like, what separates us is money. You know, because it really does.
Of course.
You know, because like we all, you know, hardships and like that, like it's money that separates us.
Yeah, that's kind of, so I get it. I grew up in Coriopolis, which is like right down the road from here. And it was a very mixed bag. I mean, you had every nationality, every race, and we were all we weren't probably completely poor, but we were lower middle income to poor. That's the whole gambit of it. It just was healthier learning how to coexist with everybody, whether they looked like you, they didn't look like you. I mean, because it really didn't matter.
Right.
You know, I mean, you learn that when you're young, and I think that's an advantage for adults later in life.
Oh,
you know?
I have a friend, the kid probably my best friend, John Rosada, and he grew up in Squirrel Hill. You know, his dad, you know, got Rosada and Sons Landscaping. His grandfather did really well for himself and a ton of property, you know. But his dad sent him to public school, and he sent him to Reisenstein. You know, they used to call it Reisencrime. And like he went there, and like it like helped shape him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It definitely like it didn't. People were like, it made him like toughen him up. Mentally, yes, but like he learned like when to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
It's a very valuable lesson,
right? And you learn those things. You know what I mean? Because I was like, dude, I went to St. Rosalia's, and when I went to Alderdice, it was like it was different. You know what I mean? I was like, this is different. Totally. I had so much freedom I wasn't used to. He coming from like a Rodenstein type school, he was like already like new, you know what I mean? And like I always like look at that, and they had gone back and said that Reisenstein was actually a social experiment.
Yeah,
did you ever hear that?
Yeah, someone else told me that too.
Yeah. What the fuck kind of social experiment was it?
Nothing surprises me though when I hear shit like that.
No, because like the school, they said it was like a, you know, it was fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, he told me like some stories like where like, I mean, it was funny because he's like, dude, if you didn't have, like, if you had on tight pants there, you may as well fucking go home that day because you're going to get tortured.
Yeah.
And shit like it happens in schools, but he was just talking about like the gang fights and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was like compared to Alderdice? He said, dude, Reisenstein was way more violent than Alderdice. Wow. Oh, yeah, way more violent. And when I was in Alderdice, there was like, there were some fights and there were some things that happened, but like, I would never say Alderdice was a violent school at all. I would say it was pretty safe. It was fun, a little too much fun. I had too much freedom. I don't think I wasn't ready for that freedom. Like you go up to school, go to first period, but you don't have to go to the next two. You can come back and go later, but you can skip a couple. Like, oh, fuck. Then you're like...
Yeah, that's a lot of freedom in high school, buddy.
And then they go, well, you know, you can't miss more than 9-day unexcused days in a quarter or you automatically fail. Well, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to miss today, but I got 8 more. Then it's like, well, I got 7 more. Then next thing you know, I got 1 left. And it's like, fuck it, I ain't going to pass anyway. You know, it was just, you had that mentality, and I learned, I don't blame Alderdice. I blame myself. I had a fucked up mentality from a young age. Like, it was just like, fuck it, I ain't going to finish anyway. I ended up not graduating high school. I had to go get a GED. You know, it was like, if people are like, oh, man, you're having like too much fun. I look back like, I could have had just as much fun.
And graduated.
Yeah. I got to have more fun. And been part of more shit. You know, the old adage, like, people look back at high school and call it, oh, the best years of your life are behind you. I totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like
I feel like
the best years of your life always are possibly ahead of you.
Of course.
It's all in what you're doing. Like, I still feel like the best part of my life is still yet to come.
Yep. And that's the only way to live.
Yeah.
You know? Dude, I appreciate this.
My man, dude.
We got to do this on a regular basis. Now, this is kind of like we rewind the tape here. We've said this multiple times before, but I put it in my calendar. Like, I'll jog in a couple months here, and I'm going to hold you down to it.
All right. I'll be here. My
Deal?
man. Absolutely.
All
brother.
right. Mike Zydel, one of the funniest guys in Pittsburgh. He's out of his mind.
Thanks for having me.
All right, partner. Thank you.